Ursula von der Leyen has announced a €1 billion aid package for Lebanon during a visit to the country. The aim is to reduce refugee arrivals to the EU, especially Cyprus. The Mediterranean island, located less than 200 kilometres from Lebanon, has seen a surge in arrivals of refugees from the Middle East and Africa.
We are committed to maintain legal pathways open to Europe and resettle refugees from Lebanon to the European Union. At the same time, we count on your good cooperation to prevent illegal migration and to combat migrant smuggling.
Von der Leyen has not clarified if the funding, available until 2027, will be linked to the fulfilment of milestones. Economic reforms and strengthening education and health systems are urgently needed in the crisis-racked country. According to the UNHCR, Lebanon hosts the most refugees per capita in the world. 1.5 million of them are Syrian and around 200,000 are Palestinian. Lebanon's Prime Minister Najib Mikati has raised the alarm over increasing tensions between refugees and Lebanese citizens. Both Beirut and Brussels are now promoting voluntary returns to Syria.
This is not the sustainable solution for the refugees. Once again, I think to become sustainable, the EU, after the European elections, should be able, with the new Commission and the new leadership, to come up with a roadmap for the political process in Syria, or else the refugees will keep on going. And if Lebanon doesn't know how to manage this portfolio, or will manage it in a very corrupt manner, we will continue on having the refugee problems once in a while, and it's not going to disappear.
Political instability in Lebanon has increased amid a deep economic crisis, with GDP plummeting 35.6% between 2019 and 2021. In the last few months, the EU has signed several economic agreements to North African countries such as Egypt or Tunisia to try and stop arrivals at European borders.
Brothers of Italy's conference in Pescara marked a key moment in the run-up to the EU elections. And it won't be just a test for Meloni's leadership. Italy's Prime Minister said they aim to replicate in Europe what they've achieved in Italy and create a majority that brings together centre-right forces. And while speculations on possible coalitions run wild, the ECR president's speech provided meaningful insight on her role as kingmaker in the EU.
Si riferisce a uno spettro di posizioni che in qualche modo vedono in ECR e nel PPE i due pilastri principali, e poi a destra in alcune delegazioni di ID, a sinistra in alcune delegazioni di Renew Europe, diciamo il numero che poi serve complessivamente per votare in maggioranza alcuni provvedimenti piuttosto che altri.
Finding common ground with other political forces is possible and has already happened in the past, as Procaccini explains.
Le maggioranze e le minoranze si formano in base alla singola votazione. Il punto di equilibrio del prossimo Parlamento europeo si sposterà a destra, ma non sarà mai una maggioranza e una minoranza come la si intende normalmente la dinamica del nazionale. Il PPE, buona parte di Renew Europe, sta votando insieme con ECR, con il PIS, con Orban, con ID. Già questo sta accadendo oggi. Non accade sulla scorta di un patto, ma sul singolo contenuto, e io credo che queste votazioni saranno molto più frequenti nella prossima legislatura.
Meloni also spoke about the need to send the left into opposition.
Consentiremo al Partito Popolare Europeo finalmente di spezzare l'asse che da troppi anni conserva con i socialisti e con i verdi, per finalmente portare un vento conservatore anche in Europa.
But election results will make the difference.
È chiaro che c'è un tema anche poi numerico e si sta tanto parlando anche in questa fase un po' di fantapolitica, quindi di nomi che vengono fatti come ipotetico Presidente della Commissione Europea, come ipotetico Presidente del Consiglio Europeo, come ipotetiche alleanze, però noi sappiamo che in Europa le alleanze e i nomi dei commissari europei si fanno post voto, non ante voto.
Whatever will be decided after the elections, a lot is at stake for Meloni and Conservatives in Europe. Giorgio Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
The huge gains France's far right is expected to make in June's European elections could reshape EU politics. It could shape any new coalition in the European Parliament and weaken pro-EU forces. According to an exclusive Euronews super poll, the far-right National Rally is in first place, while Macron's party Renaissance is second, followed by the Socialist Party. The French far-right is spearheaded by the National Rally's Jordan Bardella, Marine Le Pen's heir apparent. The party made electoral progress from March to April, as opposed to Macron's rival centrist party, which seems to be losing even more ground. Support for the socialists hasn't grown, yet it is still alive after years of political trouble. Right-wingers, the Republicans, are in fourth among French voters. The far-left LFI party of Jean-Luc Mélenchon faces improved electoral fortunes, while the French Greens have lost some ground compared to March. The French far and radical right is made up of two parties. The larger is the National Rally, a component of the Identity and Democracy group in the European Parliament, whilst its smaller competitor is Reconquête, a member of the European Conservatives and Reformists, led by Éric Zemmour, an ultra-nationalist author and columnist. The French right-wing surge could influence the composition of the future Parliament, especially in terms of seats and political leanings. Life could be difficult for the current Grand Coalition of Social Democrats, centre-right EPP and pro-market liberals. President Macron's Renaissance Party leads the Grand Coalition due to the number of seats it holds, but an electoral setback could kill the Grand Coalition's political alliance. The French Liberals appear to be yielding some of their votes to the Socialists, but they face a showdown of their own from Mélenchon's far-left LFI.
Ukraine has been losing ground on the battlefield to Russia over the last several months, in particular in the eastern Donetsk region. Although the United States finally agreed to dispatch $61 billion of military support, the Ukrainian army says it'll be enough just to hold the front line and only potentially recoup some lost ground in the future. The situation has deteriorated in large part due to a serious shortage of ammunition and weapons from Western allies, where Ukrainian forces say they've been rationing bullets with an estimated ratio of around 2,000 rounds a day to the Russians' 7,000 rounds.
Effectively, all the ground that's lost is more difficult. So you have to fight back over that ground. But I think also the calculation in Putin's mind has slightly changed to say, well, the tactics that we're using, they're brutal, quite frankly, but we're making ground. And Putin's probably in a slightly more advantageous position than as he was in 6 months, because it's effectively working and he's able to go on the offensive. So I think it is really quite dire for the Ukrainians now. And the real challenge is that all of this equipment that's going, the new ammunition, will probably only hold the front lines.
In some battles, Russia's deployed its so-called human wave tactic, which involves ordering a mass number of poorly trained soldiers, often recruited from prisons, into battlefields to encourage Ukrainians to use up a lot of ammunition, before then unleashing more senior troops with advanced weapons and training. Oleksandr Mataish is a Ukrainian officer who's been on the front line since the start of the full-scale invasion. He fought in Bucha and in the east, and his battalion fought in Avdiivka. Oh, that's lovely.
I'm on the river.
Yeah. Hold on.
We will win this war, but the losses can be critical for Ukraine. We have not enough people. At the start of the war, we have 38 millions. Too many people leave. Someone don't want to fight. Someone can't fight. If we will lose too many people, we just can't defend our country. So we need help.
Last week in Kyiv, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg acknowledged to Ukrainian President Zelensky that Ukraine has been outgunned for months and Russia has been able to push forward on the front line. But he said more support is on the way. The question is when. Shona Murray, Euronews Brussels.
Ciao, mi chiamo Francesco, sono insegnante di scuola elementare a Vienna. Il più grande problema dell'istruzione in Austria al momento è la mancanza di personale E se fossi eletto parlamentare europeo vorrei ridare dignità a questo lavoro affinché lo stipendio sia adeguato alle mansioni da svolgere e agli anni di studio per far sì che ci siano più insegnanti, per migliorare la qualità dell'insegnamento.
Helmut Brandstätter, Spitzenkandidat der NEOS für die Europawahl. Ich zähle mich zur glücklichsten Generation, die je in Europa aufgewachsen ist. Und ich hatte alle Möglichkeiten, auch im Ausland zu studieren, in Brüssel bei der Kommission zu arbeiten. Und ich möchte, dass wir dieses Europa für die nächsten Generationen noch besser machen. Ganz konkret, jeder Jugendliche soll die Chance und die Möglichkeit haben, im Ausland zu studieren, zu lernen, auch zu arbeiten. Dass wir ein gemeinsames Europa für uns machen und auch in Sicherheit leben.
Finnish MP Timo Vuoneman faces a police investigation following a suspected involvement in a shooting outside a karaoke bar in downtown Helsinki last week. Vuoneman was ejected from the Finns party's parliamentary group after a meeting of the party leadership on Thursday afternoon.
Omasta puolestani voin sanoa sen, että mikäli perussuomalaisten kansanedustaja kulkee päihtyneenä aseen kanssa Helsingissä ravintolassa ja ampuu sillä, niin siinä on riittävästi luottamuspulaa.
Leader Riikka Purra said the party would discuss Vuoneman's membership in the Finns party at a later date. The police's investigation remains ongoing.